Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Jamila, also known as Yogini Ma'at, and this time I have a very special guest with me today. I have Edison, who is a spiritual teacher. He has a amazing Know Thyself course that is coming up, and we are going to get into a little bit about the content in Know Thyself course, who is Edison, and a few other things. But take a moment, like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and we will get right into it. So, Edison,
Yes.
just take a moment and let the family know who you are, how long you've been this, and, just a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Ooh, off the cuff, my favorite bit. My name's Edison Agbandje. Run a company called Ancestral Essence. We've been around for about 8 years now, and we've been teaching courses for about 7 years on African spirituality. We refer to it because my ancestry is from Africa, Nigeria. So essentially, it's the things that our ancestors or my ancestors have taught me through communications within. And we've actually tried to simplify a lot of the mystery behind African sciences and things like that. So essentially, my role has been for the last, like I say, 6, 7 years, bringing people from a sort of Western religious perspective into a more internal spiritual perspective within themselves. So I focus more on the ancestors, letting you know that within yourself is all that you need. And all you've been ever doing is really looking for yourself outside of yourself. So we bring it all in, all these sayings like go within, we actually show you how to do it. We're not in a scenario where we're having you go searching. You search within yourself and we show you how to do that. Yeah, I've been speaking to my ancestors for near on 20 odd years now. So again, we found effective ways of teaching people to be able to do this comfortably and every day, like they're speaking to their friends, family. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, thank you, thank you. So you said you've been speaking to your ancestors for 20 years now. Is this something that you just kind of came across on your own? Like how did your Know Thyself kind of life course start?
Well, it was more, I think everyone has their ancestors speaking to them, but it's just recognizing, identifying, and putting the single voices together. So when I was being given advice from within, I was able to establish who I was speaking to. And then I was able to differentiate who they were by the things they said, who were female, who were male. And then after a while, everything we do, everything we say comes out of them. Explaining things constantly, the internal chatter within you, the way you present your words, the way you communicate, they all start from an inner voice inside you having a discussion. So we've just isolated that, slowed our mind down so we can see what's happening, so we can speed it up. And it gives us, somewhat of an advantage of having someone with you all the time whenever you're about to speak. I often refer to myself as we as opposed to me, because I know I'm in communication with all the different ancestors that reside within me.
Yeah, definitely. From my own experience, interacting and connecting with you, you taught me a lot about even just looking at all the intelligences that create this physical body almost as an ancestor as well. So, I mean, when we think ancestor, we always think, my great grandfather who passed away, but kind of like, what is an ancestor really to you? How do you even really, or how, in a minuscule sense, because I know you
Okay,
dive into this deeper
of
in the
course.
course, but really, what is an ancestor?
Well, all of us, we have within us a lineage. We came from somewhere. We have a story that happened before us. We say that your future took place in your past, because in your past, with all the people that came before you, they helped to create the body that you're in, and they helped to create the stories that you're within. So
Mhm.
essentially, these voices, energies, the essence of what we are merely just versions of ourselves and of our family that have returned back to this life. So
Right.
we are the ancestors, are really the intelligences of those who made you.
Right.
In your DNA, you have what we call the library, the database of all that came before you, what they did, the little tweaks, their actions all go up to make your face expressions, how you look, how you behave, what you're capable of. And these are the things we refer to as ancestors, which I would suggest are the intelligences that came before you,
Mhm.
and the intelligence that is you, because most of us have, we say we've been here before in tongue in cheek, but the truth is our characters within our own families are so different and unique that we couldn't have just started them in this lifetime. Who we were started before we arrived, and what we've came here to do is unique to us. So we're, as we say, a returned ancestor, or someone that has been here before and has come back with a new task, with a new purpose based on what has transpired before.
Mhm.
I'm not sure if
So,
that makes sense, because people have created this ancestor worship, ancestor this, and in honesty, the simplest way is just their family. It's just your family.
your
And
family.
your family was sent you here, and they were waiting for you here. So your parents were waiting for you where you arrived, and your ancestors and your parents sent you before you left.
So would you say that our purpose is very like solely ancestral driven, just from, like, does that mean our family is our, okay, so right now a lot of people who are, into some aspect of spirituality or is seen as like the scapegoat in their family, um does that mean that they play a much bigger role in their family, though they don't feel very much a part of it, like
100%. The people that turn up on the courses that we do are that black sheep is not a nice word, but
right.
that version of that member in the family who has a quest to do more, that has an interest in things that nobody seems to find comfortable talking about, that has questions within them that need to be answered, and they can't find people around them to do that. Sometimes they become loners because the way in which they think, they can't find many people around them that can vibrate with that type of concepts that they have running around within their mind. Often they are ancestors that have been here before, that may have made mistakes when they were here, and now they want to come back. They've had a look at all their family members in this dimension, and they want to come back and try and save what is left of what has transpired. So often they want to help the family, but the family doesn't want their help. Yeah,
Right.
they have a deeper understanding and a need to know things on a deeper basis, but they can't find anywhere to actually exercise or speak about what they're thinking about. So those are the kind of people we welcome in and have them like a new little family, a little nucleus of people that are of the same mind, that are comfortable to speak as they feel, because essentially we realize that those people are kind of special in a way, because they've come with a purpose to try and save their family. The problem is they find that somewhere along the line, this doesn't always work, and they feel abandoned and have to take on their own quest. And
Hmm.
this is where we find a lot of ourselves out, and we've created almost like a home where they can come and be themselves and sort of talk about the things they're afraid to say in polite company, just for fear of being crazy.
Hmm.
So yes, we are we're special in that sense. We're not the spiritual tourists that are just looking for, oh, what's the new fad today? This week I'm this week I'm that. Those people that really know there's something special within them, and they're just trying to find a way to express it.
Right. Yeah. You said, you know, trying to figure out how to differentiate which ancestor is speaking to you when. I know we all, because well, speaking for myself, I felt I did not feel a connection to the way religion was, you know, being, how can you say, like, softly forced on us all.
It's not
um,
softly at all. It's not subtle. Subtle is not the
oh
word I
yeah,
would use from it, you know, but
uh,
I appreciate we like to speak politely about things we
right.
can't change.
See
So
a
yes,
little,
go ahead.
you know, because everyone's at a different stage in how they see things, but just how it was, yeah, being forced. And I really felt like, you know, why not connect with who I know is a part of me, though I don't know them. If anything, they would have my best interest at heart. But then you get into spirituality and you understand that not all your ancestors are high frequency
Exactly.
ancestors, and some are low frequency ancestors. And you know, how would you connect that to even people who have a lot of darker thoughts? So, you know.
Oh wow. We have a saying that dying doesn't make you smart. So when people revert ancestors just because they know someone that's passed, the way that the person was in this life is going to be a reflection of how they are over there.
Mhm,
And we have a saying that low vibration can't live in high vibration. So
mhm,
based on the vibration of how you think, how you see yourself, will attract the various energies that you have towards you and
mhm,
the ancestors that can come around you. So the higher you basically carry yourself, the more how do you say, progressive, diverse, all the ancestors that can come and live in your vibration. So
mhm,
often when we teach people how to go across the other side and bring their ancestors across, which is a
mhm,
very simple method, essentially the ancestors that come across are their immediate relatives, but they come at them at the stage of their life where this person who is asking, where their vibration is. Now,
mhm,
when we show you how to connect to your ancestors, we will basically give you a way in which you can differentiate who is around you exactly.
mhm,
So that essentially, is it this grandfather? Is it this way? So very simple visual method, which we use that, you know, once you've grasped it, you can speak to your ancestors at any time. So our aim is really to give you the tools and the independency to become your own spiritual guru. You're speaking with
mhm,
your ancestors. They're teaching you what it is that you need to know to guide you through this life.
mhm,
So we also try and teach you as well to help you remind you that the thoughts in your head, all those different voices, you know, people say, I don't hear voices, I don't appreciate, I'm having internal conversation, but so many people are having voices within them, putting them down.
mhm.
Yeah, I love the idea when someone's holding their head, which means they're having an argument with inside themselves. There's
Yeah.
thoughts battling with them, and those energies and those frequencies are just radical thoughts, radical energies that have the capacity to speak with them and causing confusion in that person's mind. One of the
Mhm,
things are when we've connected you to the ancestors, the voices stop because
mhm,
essentially there's a saying, isn't it? Every day for the thief, one day for the owner. But when the owner turns up, all the people that have been stealing your life force and stealing your thoughts and confusing you to guide you into things they would have you do, they shut up. They just remain
right.
quiet. And now you're in a position where the ancestors that your vibration works with and
Mhm.
now giving you the guidance that you've always needed to help you through this very crazily designed reality that we're in right now.
Yeah, you said a few things there. One, just coming off of what you said, it makes me think of stand for something, fall for anything, or learning to focus, so that way you are not hearing those chatters and you can focus on the main ancestors who are now in a vibrational alignment with you. But the very first part of what you said, basically who the ancestor is here in the physical, that's the personality that they bring with them on the other side.
Thank you.
And yeah, that's very, very powerful, because I do kind of dabble into qigong and Taoism, and we do certain energetic or life force or chi prana practices that helps you to raise your frequency, not just physically, not just mentally, but spiritually. And it also helps you to solidify solidify your personality, and you can actually take that with you as
Yes.
you travel over, and essentially even stick around with that full understanding, full knowing on who you are, and help your students and whatnot. But that's what it really made me think of, which brings me back to why we need specific courses, spiritual courses, to help us, evolve and help us fully understand ourselves. Because there's so much more. Like, we are just stopping off here on Earth, and then we continue on in our spiritual journey. And so there's got to be something that we bring with us, though it's not tangible. But yeah, there's a few
Well,
things that
no, it's okay,
out there.
because we go on to explain that the older versions of yourself,
Mhm,
because there's older versions of who we are that literally exist in dimensions within us. And
mhm,
essentially, they send a copy with a certain agenda, with certain people that you're scheduled to meet, certain circumstances you're supposed to be in, to basically clear off mistakes, debts that you've incurred in previous lives. So
mhm,
within you, we start to explain that there's different councils. There's the
mhm,
council of your ancestors, which we teach people, I think, within the second course, we teach you how to communicate with your soul council. So you're sitting there, and around you is all your ancestors speaking to you, giving you guidance on all that you need to do. But there's
mhm,
also your soul council, which is the group of versions of yourself that essentially decided on who you're going to meet this lifetime, who you're going to be in a relationship with this lifetime, how long you're going to be with them. All of the decisions of what story you're going to live in was created in your soul council. And above that, you have an even higher council, which are the older versions of yourself, which no longer need to come to this dimension, but really just send parts of you on a mission to go and deal with certain situations. Do as
mhm,
much as you can whilst you're here. Don't waste the opportunity of you being inside a body. And then when you actually transition, and ashes to ashes, dust to dust, the body goes back to the earth, you return back to the realm of your ancestors, and what you've done for the soul, for the older versions of yourself, just prepare the concept or the energy or the spark of you to evolve to higher dimensions within yourself. And then if you want to come back in a different form, in a different body, you just look for a new story amongst your children, ancestors, family, and then come back.
right.
Yeah, it was hopefully one of your ancestors or children or grandchildren have created a new suit, a new avatar, a new body for you to now come in and play out the story that you've come here to do. So
Mhm,
again, what you were saying, essentially, there's a way you can go back to the memories of who you've been before and what you've done before. So you should never be worried. Nothing is lost. What they call the Akashic records are records within you. And we've done classes where people have done their past life. Well, regression seems a quite aggressive word, because literally they go to their ancestral council and they ancestors take them into these past lives, and they've been all different colors, come from different places, seen totally different stories. So it totally throws out the perception of what color you are, what story you are, because all of the memories of the lives that they've lived are within them. Everything is there. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's so deep. It's so deep. But so just to kind of divert back to
Go
the
ahead.
course, what does it really mean to know self? What does that really mean? You know?
Most of us, we're not living as ourselves. We're living with the story that's been assigned to us when we were born in this world. So as a child, you were time stamped with a date. You were given a race. You were given a history from your family. You were given a social class that you should be in. You go into an education system where they give you that whoever is the ruling people at the time, their version of history, and you spend the rest of your life or the early part of your life trying to work through all of that. So you're in a scenario where you're trying to fix your story, you're not trying to fix yourself. That's why
Right.
most of the time you feel empty of your achievements, because it's for only other people to sit there and admire. You yourself don't feel no internal gratification, and you need other people to be constantly giving you reward or saying things to you in order for you to hopefully, from their smile, glean some sort of satisfaction. Your internal journey, your internal quest, most people never even start. So the whole purpose of our course is really to divert your eyes to inside yourself. So
Right.
essentially, you are living as your consciousness, appreciating that you're living in the being, and or well, the being is still a story for most people. They don't really get beyond that. And you're living in an avatar and you're walking through this earth and having things come towards you and not realizing there's a bigger plan behind all that's taking place. But we want you to be able to get back to that consciousness, travel deep within yourself, go back to your ancestors, go back to their counsel, and go back to the stories to find out what they needed you to do when you actually came here and what you came here for. So the foundation course, which is the one we're going to be starting in June, the 20th, effectively, that one is to start you with the things that you should know to start you off. We don't go into all the different Muslims, this and that. We really cut out all the external concepts, because my belief is people have created external ideas of God so they could write books on it, and then from those external ideas control the internal spirit within you. So
Right.
it's like externalize what you are to control it from afar, so they can monetize it, do whatever they need with it. Whereas you, the actual essence, is now a slave to those things. We want you to reclaim your essence, reclaim your inner knowing, reclaim your inner confidence, and be able to, step out of the story that someone has given to you and be your actual self. So when we say, you say, know thyself, know yourself beyond the story that you've been given, beyond the fears that you've been given, and see that you're an immortal, um, the terms they've given for God, everlasting life, of course, because you're the consciousness, not the body. Therefore, you can't die. You just move on to another avatar when you choose to.
Right. Right. Yeah. So when you said, connect back to you, not your story, it basically is to allow the ego to move out the way, but it's good to hear the different perspectives, because sometimes we get caught in, ego, we hear ego all the time, but then when you're like stories, it kind of resonates deeper, because then you think about all the things you have going on in your life and how each thing is really just a story that we're all trying to control. Um, so when you disconnect from that and you do live from, as you said on the registration page, which all the information is down below, um, you said to connect back to the you that has no name.
That's
And
right.
I think that's very powerful, because even, when you said the everlasting God, or you know, whatever you want to call it, doesn't necessarily have a name. And that's just the name that we give it. So the more you connect back to that original essence, of course, the more things, I mean, you're in alignment, especially if ego connects back to that, or is aware of that, or understands that it comes second. You know, with yoga, it's all about union, bringing two aspects of yourself together, and it's
Mhm.
basically the higher and the lower self. Um, so I
It's funny
I
you use the word ego because we don't. One of my pet hates is ego and the
uh,
essence and the entity that it is. Because
mm,
people don't appreciate, they're often having a discussion with an ego. They claim
mm,
it's yourself, but then how do you discuss with yourself about yourself? It has to be something separate. And most people, to be honest, because I've had many a discussion, and like I say, to each his own, but
mhm,
we find that the ego often opens you up to greater fears and darker energies that come and challenge your perception of who you are from someone else's point of view. The
mhm,
ego is the one that makes you feel ashamed. The ego is the one that has you comparing yourself to other
mhm.
people. The ego is the one that is constantly having you say, oh, they can't say that to me. They can't do this to me. It's
Right.
constantly putting you in a battle paradigm and comparing your body, because it's
Mm,
not comparing your consciousness. The ego has no interest in your consciousness. It's only interested in how your body looks and what your body's story is doing. The ego doesn't want you to spiritually evolve because you see it for what it is. And once you see it for what it is, you no longer need to listen to it or act from it. You don't need to be in this one-upmanship all the time with everyone. My one's the best, my one's, everyone can choose what they want to do, because at the end of the day they'll be left with themselves to answer what for what they've done. And as much
mhm,
as they'll want to claim that, oh, this thing or that person or this thing, someone else made me do it, so at the end of the day you had a choice and you chose what your ego had to say because it convinced you that it was the most powerful thing within your mind. So it's difficult because we really try and kill the ego. It's one of my favorite things to do in the later courses that we have, because the people then, you see, they're much quieter, much more peaceful within themselves, not in argument with themselves, not in
right.
turmoil within themselves, because essentially they're working in unison with their ancestors and everyone is operating as one team. And this ego that wants you to constantly be battling everyone around you to gain some sort of supremacy, you find that that thing really doesn't have the answers that it professes to have. And it
Mhm,
keeps having you go around and around, breaking good situations, having you argue with people, and then has you sitting there at the end saying in pride, oh, well, I'm better than that person. I don't need to answer to them. I don't need to fix them. I don't need to do anything with them. I'm just going to carry on like I'm right, even though I know deep down that I'm wrong.
mhm. Right, right, right. So ego is definitely different than low vibrational ancestral energy.
Yeah, we really don't refer to them as ancestors, those things at the
Okay.
ego, because we found their location. The ego exists between two points of recognition of a moment. So within everything, there's space. Before you create two pictures in your mind to think of something, the ego stays in the middle and it wants to be that voice that helps you build the next picture you're about to create in your mind. So when
Mhm,
you're creating a picture to give yourself instructions of what to do, the ego wants to be involved in that discussion, and it
mhm,
wants you to steer your decision based to what it has to say. It's a separate entity from yourself, and it's something that only survives the more you're afraid. It lives, it keeps you in a state of fear, in a state of failure, and you live more often than not just to appease the constant nattering of
mhm.
your ego.
Yeah, yeah. The ego always wanting control, definitely. I know when you first taught me how to speak my own language, which I'm not too sure if you get into that this
Okay.
course
Oh,
coming
we
up.
do. The last week
Okay.
is always about the language,
Okay.
because effectively, as we go through the courses and we start to have you understand that all of your organs have their own separate intelligence, have their
Yeah.
own names. How
Yeah.
crazy would it be for all of our organs to have the same name? Heart, this, that, this. They do separate
Right.
functions. They're in total different pools of energy. How would they
Mhm.
be the same? How would they all work? All of them work in complete darkness. All of them are alchemists because they change
Mhm.
matter, one
Yes.
matter into another matter. The level of intelligence within all of your organs are incredible. So again, they all have their names. So we realize that your body speaks in its own separate, unique language. This isn't a
Mhm.
language that someone has to teach you, because no one teaches you how to walk. No one teaches you how to eat, maybe what to eat, but you quickly work out how to
Wow.
put something in your mouth. So
Right.
essentially, the language that you speak, that unique language, is something which has a greater resonance in your body when you speak it. And when we take you to more advanced classes, we show you how that language directs reality that you're in, because those
Mhm.
thoughts that are in your mind gives commands to your organs. So wouldn't it give command to the energy outside and what it creates as well?
Right. Yes. 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 Tuning into the autonomic nervous system.
Mhm.
That's super super powerful. I feel like that's one of the main, the ancestral language,
Mhm.
and definitely connecting with organs. You taught me how to name them, and they're different each day, as you said. They are
Exactly, with your
remanif-
relationship.
yeah,
Mhm.
and they're remanifesting themselves in a different space each day. And I guess it also depends on what you ate, like what you're thinking, so many different things. So the name won't be the same. And it reminds me of even the moon. Different phases of the moon has its own name. Right now we're in a full moon phase, so
Mhm.
the name is Luna.
Okay.
But in other phases there's a different name that that energy will have. So it definitely makes sense. But I think those two are the most powerful practices. uh Two of the most. I mean, there's so many things that we've gone through over
No,
the years, but
you know what? After a while, it's hard to keep up, because this is why I say the first course is the basic, because we teach you how to do the baths. Yeah.
Mm,
Seems a long
yes.
time ago, but all the spiritual baths where essentially we appreciate that every thought you have, because you're
Mhm,
an electrical magnetic being, you radiate your presence around you. You radiate the energy that you have within you through your skin, and your
mhm,
skin holds on to part of the thoughts and feelings. So
mhm,
someone who's depressed, you can walk into a room and feel their vibration though. So even though they've calmed down and they're in good state, the vibration of how they felt is still within them. So
mhm.
we show you how to create a bath to create a spiritual osmosis. So it's literally the frequency of the bath pulls out the energy that you have within your skin to make you feel lighter and more energetic, and change your fortune in a way, because you're not carrying that heavy
Right,
negative magnetic energy that you've created from the negative thoughts that you've had.
right,
So
right.
your luck changes a little bit and you feel a little bit better within yourself, just because you're not carrying those heavy thoughts. So we show you how to do that yourself. So you're
Mhm,
not going everywhere and I need a bath, I need a bath. No, we'll show you how to do that yourself. Tell you how to clean your home. We got a week where we go into your home where essentially you're out in this world. Your body is an electrical magnetic being. Whenever someone is speaking on you, part of it of that stays within your aura, trying
mhm,
to get into you to change your mood. When you're near someone who's aggressive or angry, that energy perpetrates and gets onto your clothes, gets onto your skin,
mhm.
and you're there carrying, and they can pass on their mood like a cold onto you. Yeah, so
Yeah.
your house, your bed, your furniture, everywhere is carrying that frequency of wind you brought into your house. So in order to have peace of mind, keep your place clean, keep your place clear, so that new thoughts, new feelings, and all those stale thoughts you had the other day are not hanging around your place.
Mhm.
I think week 6, we talk about your spiritual health, where we start talking about you naming organs within yourself and understanding that every illness that you have, because it can move around your body, means it's alive, means it has an intelligence. When someone says you're having incurable disease, they mean the entity within you can't be killed and they can't find a way to do it. So we start explaining how those things happen and how eventually in due course you're going to work out ways in order to fight that. Week 7 is sexual health. That one is my favorite and least favorite at the same time, because I'm glad I built up a rapport with people before that, because this is the week we tell you about how all the relationships you've been in, how, as we say, marriage starts when you sleep with someone, because you literally swap all your bodily fluids with them and they swap them with you. And then those things remain within you as it remains within them. So everyone's walking around with the energy of all their partners that they've been within. If they don't know how to clear that frequency out, I know there's a load of things saying, we can use this, we can use that. And psychologically, you know, you've sort of done something which you perceive as actually cleared it. You know, soap won't clear it. And the different energies within you, you need to actually find a language that can pull those energy frequencies within you out of your system, for male and females. This is why sometimes they can't forget someone, because the energy of that person is still within them and it hasn't actually moved out. Week 8, we talk about programs where essentially everything you do is a decision in your mind, where you basically have to, we say, in your imagination, you do all your visual calculations. This is where you visually build a picture in your mind to give yourself instructions of what you're going to do next. We're constantly doing this every minute. When someone says, I'm thinking, I'm really building a picture. I'm having a discussion, then getting instructions and saying, okay, I think I got that in my mind. We're going to go here, there. So this is where we say you're writing the program to give yourself instructions. But we live in a reality where everyone has flooded us with their versions, and education has given us a pattern. So ultimately now we're working out programs against us. And we're working out programs, especially with health. You know, we're eating food that has been designed to kill us slowly, isn't it? The old concept, digging your graves with your teeth. It's like that. We're just literally every day putting ourselves in worse situations. Week 9, we deal with past lives. So we tell you about how your past lives are impacting this life, and also the debts of what you've done in previous lives, or what you is the reason behind your life as it is right now. And week 10, just a quick praise here, is when we do the language thing and teach you how to do that. It's in week 3, right at the beginning, we teach you how to speak to your ancestors so you can communicate with them all the way through the course and keep me honest. Because if your ancestors have a question, I'm quite happy to answer them, but you learn how to do that and don't have to wait like some big reveal. Within the first 3 weeks, you know how to do it. So when you're doing baths, you can get your ancestors to show you what to put into the bath. So that's a quick praise here of all the different things in a nutshell, but these classes are for 5 hours or 6 hours, and they just go on and we cover any question that you've wanted to ask about all these spiritual affairs, and put you in a position where, again, you're not going to remember everything, but you get the recording so you can listen to it afterwards and basically familiarize yourself, because there's a lot going on. There's a lot of questions going back and forth, and people have wanted to ask these questions all their life and not felt comfortable to do so. And we don't duck anything. The only thing sometimes I may say, we're covering that later on in the class or later on in the course. And sometimes the questions people ask are kind of beyond what they can imagine themselves. So we could give you an answer where I say, I have to tell you all of this before that makes sense. So yes.
Oh my gosh, you said like 7 things.
Sorry about that. It's all right.
The first one, but
that's how it goes. We're terrible. We answer a million questions, answers to one question, but just because this is people just, you know, there's a lot of stuff backfill that we have to catch up with. And we've been trying to, how do you say, fix ourselves with someone else's ideas. And it's
Right.
not working out, is it really?
Yeah, and for me, I would say like what you just said, fix ourselves with someone else's idea. You never stop realizing. I feel like there's always a new layer of someone else's idea. You know,
Hmm.
you're 65 and you're still realizing a new layer of someone else's idea. Like it's an everyday thing. So the earlier you learn how to create your own matrix, that's the one thing that came up in my mind as you were speaking is
Mm.
you learn how to create your matrix in your mind, you know, rather than having it just be airy, you know, things are blowing around and we're just, you know, struggling to hold on to our hats. You learn how to think in a way that is most, let's just say, efficient, for lack of better
No,
words. But
100%. You don't waste energy on
right,
other people's emotional states. Not
right,
that you
right.
don't care, but you know, people when they were educating us, especially in that program week, you'll have a simple thing like someone will say policeman. And as
Hmm.
soon as someone says policeman, in your mind, the uniform, the
Yeah,
character, how you
yeah,
should behave, what
yeah.
you should say, under that word is a trigger that carries all those different behaviors within you. And essentially, this is how we were educated by giving certain terms and then giving a list of ways we should behave. And all day for 8 hours a day, like a working day, there's a plan that the kids are basically, as we say they're initiated into the matrix.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
So
that's
how many years? So by the time that they leave at 18 or 22, they are clones looking at the reality of the world in the way that those that designed the world said they should see it.
yeah. What do they call it these days? The Walking Dead. That's what
Well,
they.
it's a bit harsh because we're all in that boat and we're all trying to find our way. And you
Right,
can't blame us because we just did, you
right.
know, the best thing is to kill it before it grows, where they
Mhm.
kill your enthusiasm for yourself before you grow into yourself. So by a child, they've already given you an idea of what you are, a history of the world, all these misconceptions about what you are. So
Yeah.
you use those ideas as the building blocks to build
Hmm.
your thoughts later on. Yeah,
Hmm.
so you know, a million times zero equals zero. So they've given you information that doesn't
Right,
add up to anything. So you never get beyond the zero status that they created for you to have.
right, right. Yeah, it's so powerful. There's just too many things. I think again, I'm gonna say go below, click the link in the description and just check out the registration page. There's a description of each week. So you can get an understanding of what you'll be learning, but that doesn't even really do justice because as I've taken the class myself, the classes are about 5 hours of just meat and potatoes. It's just it's a lot and you don't remember everything, but you feel it and you have to understand like what is repetitive gets stored in the subconscious and what we're really looking to repattern is the subconscious. So you know, just being a part of it and taking what resonates and just starting to make change in those small ways, super powerful. The moment you start to turn your energy within, you know, your physical body changes. Even if you're suffering with anything physical, it shifts, your reality shifts. It's a way of manifesting, you know, simply just tuning in with the intelligences of you and being able to say that I recognize that you're here. Think about how, you know, even just singing to a plant and the plant almost blooms more for you.
Of
So
course.
you sing to the body and it will work wonders for you. You know, because if you don't use it, you lose it. And it's probably thinking, well, you know, I'm not really needed. So, and you would, and I feel like thinking about it this way, most people would be like, you know, she's crazy to think that way, but we
No, no,
don't.
no, no, no. Don't say that.
Yeah, we
Don't
don't
say that.
think of our
Don't say that.
physical body as a it's a vessel, but it is a plant. It is a flower that you must nurture, and it is intertwined with all that you are. It's separate, but it is still one with you. So I think this is powerful information. You're never too young to start learning it, because it becomes your protection. Forget about just healing. It becomes your protection from, everything that exists in this universe, some good and some bad. So it just is what it is. But not to hold you too long, I want
No,
to
it's
ask
okay. Go
you,
ahead. Go ahead.
um, you did talk about the baths, and I wanted
Yes.
to ask you about water, the element of water.
Yes.
Now, I know that you get into all the elements and we go within the body to discover them, and,
Yes.
it's all of that. But you talked about water, or the spiritual baths, and the
Yes.
importance of it. And I always suggest people to just do a bath. Like, it doesn't have to
Mm.
be anything special, but just do it and you'll see a shift. Why is working with water so important, whether it's a bath or just having, a water by your bed, in your room? Like, what is it about water that is just the almost the key element?
Okay. Because it's an element.
Okay.
But the thing about water, first of all, is water is the result
Mm.
of an intelligence that is so powerful that it can melt two gases to create the third object. Water is the baby of another higher intelligence within you.
Mm.
Okay, so every reason why we just say that in passing, because eventually we help you explain that there's a male and female aspect to water, and
Mm.
essentially, yeah, when we go deeper into the essence of what it is, all of us have this intelligence within us. Hence, we can all create water,
Mm.
and we're constantly in our blood, where we have iron globin. So if you're into the traditional West African traditions of Ifa, you would say iron globin. So you would say go Ogun, which is the Orisha communication and iron and things like that, and how it's married to water, because water works with it and carries all the communication of all your thoughts and everything through water around your body. That is the aspect of how it is the one of communication. And because it's blood, blood is always trying to fight through all your arteries and everything like that. So that is the concept of the cutlass, trying to get your circulation going. Anyhow, we go into the whole orishas from within your body, not from external. But water,
Mhm.
all of your ancestors have touched water, the same water. So therefore, when we use it in the bath, it's with the understanding that the water has touched everyone you've known.
Mm.
So all your ancestors' wisdom are within that water. So when you're calling on that water, you're calling on all those ancestors that came before you in this external world. When we're making the bath, we have oils that we use for the bath that we sell on the site. But when you're making the bath, what you're effectively doing is putting in the intelligence of the different languages that are going to challenge those different energies that are residing within your body, that are causing you stress, that are causing you pain, that are hidden just under the layer of your skin and haven't moved out. So we're using the water as the conduit to all the different energies. Because when we're talking about the bath, you can add honey, you can add coconut water, you can add a few things. We've got a list that we show you. And I remember writing a post on Facebook years ago, breaking down how you do this. And you literally check with your ancestors which one you should use for what type of bath you need, because specific problems you'll bring to them and they'll give you specific solutions of how to clear these frequencies, thoughts, energies out of your system. Yeah,
Mhm.
but water, you have it around you because it's a living, protective being.
Mm.
Yeah, we keep
Yeah.
looking at the child, which is the physical thing, not the intelligence within it that's holding all the energies of everyone that's come before you. The same thing with fire. We're seeing the baby, the fire is the baby, because in essence, there's an energy that makes objects combustible at a certain temperature. So it's that energy that is then when that object becomes combustible, then we see the flame. So the flame is the child of a deeper energy underneath. And you have access to all those energies, and your mind works with all those energies in order to create heat within you. How do you create heat when you're not plugged into anything? How do you create water within you? So the intelligence, and how does this spermatozoa going into an egg create bones, create teeth? How does it create solid objects when it's just liquid? So within you, you have the element of earth as well. So you can create solid objects from liquid. Yeah, and the whole breath thing is another energy within itself, which is the air. So those four elements that you have within this society or within reality that creates anything operates within you, is sustained with you, and is created by you, and you have a relationship with them on a level that we try to get to the very depth of. When you start to understand how they are, you can have relationships with them, and you realize that nothing can happen to you without the permission of those four elements, because they're the ones that guide reality. And if you're a good child, when you go into these religions in a certain way, or not religions, because let's get away from that. African is called African science because it's their understanding of the science of nature. And they knew how to communicate with these things and were able to use it in different ways than having to use instruments. They could speak with a thing direct, like you're talking about the plant. You're talking to the plant, and the plant enjoys your conversation, because animals and plants read energy. They might not be able to hear what you're saying because you're not speaking in the same language as them. But if someone is smiling, you can feel them smiling. If someone is speaking to you in a warm way, regardless of what they're saying, you're feeling the warmth of what they're saying. And the plant, as a living, thinking thing, respects the energy that you're giving to it when you're speaking to it in a certain way, and will work for you. Because like all things, if a friend comes to me and says, oh, I'm a friend of so-and-so, or someone comes to me and they say, oh, I'm a friend of so-and-so, depending on how well I get on with that friend will determine how well I treat them. Yeah, so people's names mean something, especially if they've treated you well. Then anyone who comes with their name, you treat them well.
Yeah. Yeah, you're reminding me of people usually be like, I don't like Scorpios, or I don't like these. It's just because there's one person who had that title, and you just carried it on. But super powerful, because when you said if you connect with that, you have earth in you too, so you can take water and create a physical thing. Like, that's, to me, is creating your reality, crystallizing whatever thought that you are trying to bring into existence. And people always give so much power to things outside of themselves, and I understand we learn from looking at outside of ourselves sometimes, but when you turn it back within, you get to see that that child that you spoke of is you. Your physical body is the child of your higher, the intelligence, just as the plant or the element and all of that. So it is a very crucial
what you said
thing.
there is so powerful.
Right?
Because
Yeah.
the same way you're speaking well to the plant is the same way you need to speak well to your body, because that is your plant.
Right, exactly.
And you're watering that with what you eat and what you drink, and the way in which you treat your body and go through your thoughts. Because the number one killer nowadays is stress. And many of us are so riddled with fear that we're thinking ourselves to death. If you see most people, I always give the analogy of if someone eats a bad pizza, they're going to have a bad stomach for a couple of days. But if you have a bad relationship, you could have a bad stomach for a couple of years.
Oh my goodness.
So you're missing the point.
And then have a stomach ulcer.
Just from people. So people are the most dangerous things. that you have to deal with, from the point of those that could give you stress, and those that you have to, you feel that you have to deal with through fear or through love. Because love sometimes, as they say, love will make you blind, because you won't see the enemy that is right in front of your face, because you love them.
You love them. Yes. Leading us right into the next question. So what is love, or what should our relationship or embody of it be? So
Very powerful question.
yeah.
Usually you love a thing. The way it's been created in the Western world, you love a thing. Often when you get into a new relationship, you're going to say you love the person, but often you don't know the person. So you're in love with how you feel when you're with that person. You're still in love with yourself, and relationships give you the opportunity to fall back in love with yourself. Fall back in love with the person who you know you can be, that deep down who you really are. And this person is reflecting, because they're going through the same thing, they're reflecting their love for themselves. And you get addicted to them and say that, look, you're the person who is now bringing that situation of me loving myself back to myself. Since I've met you, things are going great, isn't it? All of a sudden, it's like that, where essentially the love that you have for yourself in those moments is powerful. It's actually radiating from you. It's attracting all the things that you want from you. But unfortunately, it's hard to keep that consistent level of love for more than 6 months to a year. Yeah, because essentially the people can't sit there and stare in each other's faces forever and make money. Someone's got to get up and do something. So I got to go this, I go, oh no. And then the energy changes, because essentially they can't go and rely on that person to be in the state that they need to be in love with themselves. And then often in those situations, the person says, I've seen this before. They've managed for 6 months to hold their past at bay, but their past now comes back. And now they're back in comparison. They say, I've seen this before. My old partner used to do this. And then certain behaviors from their past starts to come into the relationship, because the way in which they defended themselves in the past, or wish they defended themselves in the past, now become their pattern of behavior. And then the love changes, or does it change? Is it the love for the other person who you never really knew, or the love for yourself and what you expected them to do? So love, in a sense, it's a love for a thing, an idea, a concept, which feeds you with a certain sensation that you take within yourself, and you fall in love with that feeling. You love, and love, I found the most natural love is when you see your child, and you see your child for the first time, and you fall in love with that child. You're like, wow, you're looking in amazement when you see that thing transpire. But everything else, sadly, is conditional. Mothers
which
will
isn't
pick up
bad.
Well, you see, once it becomes conditional, then it becomes a business and a deal. And now deals have to be made. And now if you do this, I'll do that. So your love isn't all encompassing. It comes with rules. And then it's things more like, how do you say, it's better that someone likes you than loves you. Because if someone likes you, they're excited to be around you all the time. When someone loves you, they just care for you, and they don't have to have you around all the time. But then I say that in the sense that sometimes you need to fall back in love with yourself, because you can end up giving all of yourself to someone else and be totally reliant on how they feel about you before you know how you feel about yourself. And that's not a good place to be. When they speak of universal love and all this kind of thing, not sure, I'll be honest with you, only because I feel that the greater love you have for yourself, the better way you conduct yourself, The way that you know by being in peace and treating people well, you can maintain a good idea of yourself. If everyone took that idea on to be the very best they could be all the time, automatically the love that they have with themselves is how they will treat everyone else. And then we will have the inner universal love will be the way in which we take on the world. Because unfortunately, outside, the powers that be, their aim is not to make everyone happy. If you imagine you ask the government to come in, are you going to make your people happy? No, we're going to make our people safe, but we're not here to make them happy. And the amount of stress that you get from having the majority of your earnings taken every month in order to care bills, this, that, this, and a little bit left for yourself that you got to try and manage your life on.
Right.
Yeah. That's that little bit that you got to be happy with. So you're going, oh, it's a whole big thing, but we go into this. But essentially, yes, we need you to operate outside of your story so that you can appreciate how valuable you are outside of the constant need for everyone around you to keep giving you praises for what you're doing for them. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like, in this entire experience so far, you've talked about the purpose is really about the soul lines, ancestral lines, timelines with self. Therefore, anybody who even goes out to, let's say, help the world, which there's nothing wrong with attempting, because in doing so, maybe that's your path of helping self, but essentially it's really about you, whether you decide to donate or not, it's about you and your own development. So I think that we need to, I think it's important that we do bring things back to self. But isn't there a fine line between being the center, but then also being the narcissist? Like how?
Ooh, why did you go there? Narcissist. Now we've got a whole.
And I know you get, I know you have a whole
5-hour class on a narcissist. That's a totally different concept of being selfish.
Yeah, because I feel
you're selfish as you going, basically rooting for yourself, doing your very best to be the best you can be. We basically break down and show you that narcissist is an energy or a personality that people create to protect themselves. That often when they're young, they go through certain situations where they were helpless and couldn't protect themselves, and then they create this personality because a personality that comes forward and speaks on their behalf and protects them, whilst the real inner version of them is sitting down behind this voice and personality, going out, speaking, being certain ways, acting certain ways. This we actually go on to show you is another energy like the ego that effectively comes forward, bends the person's personality, has a situation where the person looks all powerful and vulnerable at the same time. Because you're looking at a narcissist and 1 minute they're tearing the hell out of you, then the next minute they look like a little lamb. It's almost like the energy comes and blurs out and makes sure that no one ever attacks that person and defends them at all costs. And then the next person you're looking at them and say, I'm confused. 1 minute I want to hug you, next minute I want to push you away. And it leaves people stuck in that paradigm of saying that they love this person because one of the personalities that they have, they fall in love with. This is one of the things we teach you, that you're a combination of different personalities for different situations. And when you meet someone, you can fall in love with one of their personalities. People say it's your best version, what have you. That brings the person in. And then all the other personalities that you have that have been fragments of your previous relationships, they now come out and they now need to be repaired. So this person that you knew and thought was this marvelous person, that personality is gone. Only comes out on special occasions when
Right.
you're looking a little bit tired and you want to leave. But the rest of the time, you're dealing with all these other personalities that this person has from triggers from previous relationships,
Yeah.
situations where another relationship, someone behaved this way. So all of a sudden, as soon as you do that, that person returns back to who they was in that
Yeah.
previous relationship. And now that personality who they have there is trying to work out within you how to fix what took place there. So you know you're attracted by one and then you end up with the rest, which is
Yeah.
what a narcissistic personality is, just one of those entities or personalities you created within yourself that essentially is trying to defend you against everyone and all comers at the expense of whoever it needs to feed from. Yeah, because it will find new relationships,
Yeah.
find do-gooders, you know, empaths, all those
Yes.
kind of
Intruders.
people to feed off and break until
Right.
the person moves on. And then the narcissist will blame them and say, you know what, because all the narcissist has to do all the time is make sure the real person inside is never harmed.
Mm.
That's why they're never wrong. That's why they always argue their case and blame you for what they did to you,
Yeah.
because they can never see themselves in a negative way, because that would harm the real person who's allowed this narcissistic character to take over their behavior. So
Yeah, the real
selfish,
person within them, not the real person they're hurting.
it's not
Yeah.
the real person. The real person is always protected. You have the other narcissist, which is the passive one
Mm.
that protects the real person by allowing everybody, by doing what everyone says so that they're happy with that person and they don't see that person in a negative way. So that in a way protects the real person underneath that is scared from being seen in a negative light and harming itself. So you have the aggressive one and the passive one, but there's still energies you create to protect the real you inside that is, you know, somewhat hurted and scared.
So that real you inside is basically the child self
Thank you. That doesn't grow up. It stays the
that
child
doesn't
that
grow
was
up.
hurt that time and then creates that personality to protect itself.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I know we could get into narcissists, forever, but I think,
Forever.
you know, I feel like once you are aware of spirituality and how to manage your energy and what works for you, what doesn't, a lot of the times those who don't understand, they begin to look at you as that. Like maybe you are being very selfish. I don't, how you're empaths and just sensitive to energy. But what would you say to anybody who might be struggling with trying to create these boundaries for themselves, but then is also being um, told that they're being selfish?
Some people, narcissists' best offense is defense. They've got one of their most powerful traits is devaluation. They're
Mhm,
constantly telling you of how valueless you actually are. They're
right,
constantly telling you that you're wrong and
mhm,
that with them, you're going to be okay. That you need to look to them to help you to be the person that you are. You're
mm,
constantly trying to give to them, but it's not recognized because they're more important. What they give to you is of greater value. So they're constantly going to be telling you, you know, you're not up to the mark, you'll never do it, you're this, you're that. And they're not doing any better. But the fact is,
right,
they're constantly telling you of how you're less. So often, anyone putting you down
mhm,
is someone who's trying to, you know, if someone wants to help you, help you. Putting you down doesn't help you.
Right.
It destroys your inner confidence, and it puts you indebted to that person who said that thing. So you're now in a situation where you're thinking, I need to prove something to them so that they can be happy to you. And a narcissist's favorite thing is to get you into a fearful state where you feel that they're better than you. So you always have to be beholden to them. Yeah,
Right.
but once you understand what the gig is, what they're up to, how they're behaving, how people around you, because society isn't a narcissistic concept. Because look at how the world has been built, where there's those in those very privileged positions telling those that are not in the privileged positions how they're nothing, how they have no value, and how they need to aspire to be like them. But they have to go through that person's rules and wait for someone in that society to deem them worthy. I mean, if someone hasn't got qualifications, do they see themselves as intelligent? And you realize how all people's perception of themselves is based on someone else's perception of them. So society teaches you to be a narcissist. And then the poor people that are at the bottom of the rung, whenever they do something for themselves, those in that narcissist position are quick to tell them, oh no, you haven't pleased me, so therefore don't be happy with yourself.
Yeah, I think that's super powerful, especially right now, you know, not to bring up these V shots and stuff, but there's a lot of, you know, whether you did it or you didn't do it. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. But there's a lot of, if you didn't do it, you know, people are showing their narcissism a lot more. They're, you know, they're frowning upon you because you're now not adhering to what they program themselves to, because everything is, well, it's a choice, right? So I think it's important to stay aware of that and recognize what you're seeing in your reality and connect with higher self, ancestors, you know, whatever, but just be able to tune in and know how to navigate through those spaces appropriately, because I feel like there's, you know, the world has always been flipped upside down, but now it's shaking, and you know,
that's true, so true.
yeah, it's only getting worse. And you know, now is why we need to know ourselves. As I said, you know, at the start of this, you have to stand for something or you fall for anything. And the only thing that you can stand on is your spirituality, because that's where you, the real true you, the infinite you resides. Something just popped up in my head and I wanted to say it.
Go ahead.
What was it? What was it? Um, it's gone, but
Should I talk about the spirituality thing? Because that is one of the most confusing aspects.
yeah, go right ahead.
There's religion,
Yeah.
and then there's spirituality done in a religious way.
Right.
Then there's spirituality.
Right.
Yeah. The spirit is essentially the essence of you. And as the essence of you, it's just operating in this reality. The spirit is just a consciousness. That's all it is. It's the essence that is running the body. And how does that essence navigate in this world? Now, that doesn't require that you believe in anything or anyone.
Right.
It just means that you grab hold of who and what you are and use that to correctly navigate through the system. Now, the thing is, we've all been through a powerful initiation into the matrix, which means that we've been taught from a young age to believe those in authority. Yeah, they haven't created a happy life for us, but we're still supposed to trust them. And people do, and it's very hard in this day and age because people don't need to tell the truth. They just need to repeat the lie often. Yeah, and with vigor and not giving you any opportunity to see anything else. Now, none of us are scientists, so we have to take a choice to believe what it is that we're told and make our own discernment and then decide whether we're going to go one way or the other. At the end of the day, it's a choice. Yeah, but that's like drinking alcohol, like smoking, like all these different things, all those different things that we take have warning signs, do in moderation. They
Right.
can kill you. Yeah. So like anything else, there's so many situations where we're risking our lives all day with the most simplest things. And
Mhm.
because no one has put a spotlight on them, we don't take them as serious. Do you ask people, do you drink or do you smoke? Have you taken the vaccine or will you? You know, if you don't,
Right.
either way, everything you do is a potential risk. And we have to be careful of who directs our emotions and on what subjects, because
Mhm.
these guys are very clear, finding a new pantomime for us to watch every day.
Mhm.
So now
Yeah.
it's remember it was the 5G last year, and now it's the
Yeah.
vaccination this
Yep.
year. What will it be next year,
Next
where
year.
they're going to have everyone focused and not sure what to believe, what not to believe? Of course, some people, and again, will have a current theme that all is connected, which I believe to be the case, but at the same time, who am I? I'm not the scientist. That's not what I'm doing courses on. I'm more doing it on how you connect within yourself, and hopefully your ancestors in your conversations with yourself will guide you of what's most appropriate for you, because
Yeah.
none of us come to this world perfect. All of us, well, we come perfect, but as part of coming, we'll explain there's one deficiency, I suppose, you could have within your body. Everyone has something which essentially allows them to go into paths where they're going to meet people that they've been designed to meet in this life.
Mm.
So everyone's going to come with something, and it's how you overcome it and become this version of yourself where you can operate outside of the limitations other people think you have. That's why you see as people get older, they get up earlier because they don't want to waste life. Yeah,
Right.
people are young, they sleep all day. Oh, I got life, I got time. People at the other end of the scale, they're not wasting time. They're getting up
Mhm.
every day to do something because they've
Yeah.
realized they've laved about and wasted time. And maybe they might not have as long. So there's more that they have to
Mhm.
do with what they have.
Yeah, that's me now. I make sure I'm up early even if I go late because I feel like when I wake up late, the day has gone by so fast. What did I do? So I agree. You're I always say right on brand, but you're right with that one.
Mm,
um, but just there's just so much, so many things that we can get into. I mean, it's one thing to listen, and I always tell people you have to try it for yourself, for the experience,
mm,
whatever experience that is to you. It doesn't matter if you saw a feather fly by in your mind. It's your experience and it's unique to you. And in being able to also give gratitude for that. You may not fully consciously understand, but you know it's an aspect that will present itself in whichever way or whatever. It's playing a part.
mm.
Um, but yeah, is there anything else that maybe you wanted to kind of let the people know about, maybe not just where to find your course, but what
Of
else do
course.
you offer? I know you
Okay.
do readings. You did mention the shop.
Yes.
Maybe get into a little bit of those
Okay.
things.
We have just put up the website
Mhm.
because it was down for a while through circumstances beyond my control. But we put up the website initially now just for the course and for the shop, because we have different oils that we have for the baths and things like that. We're going to start selling frankincense as well. So we have everything you need to essentially clear your home, clear yourself. We also have, we call it a spiritual tonic, where we have a tonic, of course, a spiritual
Mhm.
tonic, which has all the metals of gold, platinum, titanium, all to speed up your thought, and with gold to relax you, and platinum gives you certain more vivid dreams and things like that. But it keeps you alert, and whenever you're doing any sort of speaking, it allows you to retrieve information to your mind at a quick rate, because you find that gold, platinum, all these things that are connected as metal, but this is the same thing in your mind. And back in the day, back in Africa, Caribbeans, everywhere around the world, the gold and all the minerals were in the ground. And when they all got dug out, where before, when you're eating food that is grown in that ground, the resources, all the metals, all the minerals would come up in the food that you were eating. So it was a natural thing. But as they started to dig out all of these things, these minerals were missing from your diet, and these minerals were missing from within inside yourself. So we do that. We've already done half of the website. We're going to do another half where we're going to introduce counseling, spiritual counseling, because people have things which they just can't explain to the doctor and to the psychiatrist. They're having thoughts, they're having feelings, they're going through traumas, they're going through all these different things. And there's stories where their spirit is experiencing phenomenons that someone would turn around and say, well, I think you're crazy. And we have the capacity to see beyond what they're saying, so that we can have you engaging yourself as your real self, not as your scared self. So we're going to start that service. We're going to start a reading service where it's not your typical what's going to happen in 6 months, does he love you, don't you love you, all that kind of stuff. It's going to be more teaching you how to initially connect with your ancestors. That's what the reading is. And me, you and your ancestors have a conversation. We want to leave you with something that you can use afterwards. So once we finish the conversation, you can carry on speaking to your ancestors. We want to set up the connection. And if there's anything they suggest you need to do, then we can talk that with you, talk you through that at a later date on another phone call or what have you. We're also going to start a membership page where we're going to be releasing, I've been doing this for how many years? We've got various videos, recordings from many courses that we've done, things that we can't teach online because you need to be physically there, but we can still have you see them and hear them. So for those people that might not be able to afford to go on the courses we do, you can join the membership page, where we're going to be doing at least once a month a question and answer. So people who are members can actually come in like a video chat like this and ask questions that they have, which are members. And we'll be sharing videos every week of various, about 2-3 videos from previous courses and things we have, which they have access to, which won't end up on YouTube or anything like that. So again, we're going to have, we've got blogs on the site, we'll have videos on the site, which there's still some now. You can see previous conversations. So what we really want to do is find a way in which these understandings of yourself are ready, available to everyone. We're trying to empower you. We're trying to sell you back yourself. We want you to be in that position where you're not relying on any history, you're not relying on any people, God concept, you're relying on yourself. You're relying on the energy that you have within you. Why are all these energies so powerful if they need your energy to make them strong?
Exactly.
Everyone is always asking for you to give yourself this. Why is the energy that is supposed to be all powerful need your energy? Quietly, it's where they say, oh, give us, because they know that you have intrinsic value within you, but you've been tricked through education, through various religious concepts to suggest that you're nothing when you're everything, because these things are nothing without you. So we're really trying to remind you that you're the all-powerful one. What you're going through is normally a combination of acceptance of being less by someone that has worked out a very powerful way to convince you of that. So all we want to do is encourage you whatever way we can find, in order that we can give what we need, give back to the world and a community. And it's not that we need it back ourselves, because what you said was earlier, when someone wants to save the world, it's often because they're looking for someone to save them. They're looking for someone to recognize what they've done, and all that. We've been through all of that. You're not going to save me because you haven't got a clue what I've been through.
Right.
And I'm sure most people could say that about themselves. The
Yeah.
savior isn't there, but we want to let you know that you were born with all you need to protect yourself from what you see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was gonna say earlier, briefly, like, which one is more powerful? Is it you or the ancestor?
Well,
But
go on. I
go
love
ahead.
that one
Yeah,
because
no,
essentially, this is the trick. The ancestor is just another version of you in another state.
right.
You are equally as powerful.
Hmm.
The trick is everyone has convinced you that you're not. All the
Right.
things that they can do are all the things that you can do.
And then
Thi-
some,
And
because
then
you're
some.
physical. You're here in the
Well,
physical.
well,
I mean,
go on.
yeah, I mean, I want to say that I guess they could live through you too, but I mean, but it is you. Well, go ahead.
Well,
You go ahead.
but the funny thing is, how do you say, um, you're an electrical magnetic being, which
Right.
means everything you think creates a magnetic frequency.
Right.
So how you feel about yourself is what you're going to attract to yourself.
Right.
So society has been very clever at giving certain people an arrogancy,
Mm.
yeah, based on the concept of money, which one of my old jokes is, what's it say? Man made money and made himself God. Yeah, because
Right.
then from now in God we trust, in money we trust.
Right.
Yeah, so now all of a sudden, someone who has the capacity with a lot of money now conducts themselves like they're God, like they can create anything. All they can create is a dissatisfaction within yourself. And you then, through your dissatisfaction, give your praise to them.
Yeah.
In honesty, they are no different from you. They're just
Yeah.
operating with the capacity to trade and get more things that you might not necessarily even need.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know? So
Yeah.
no,
I find
it's
myself saying a
great.
lot these days, uh, attention is the most expensive commodity in the world.
That's why you
So
have to pay it.
yeah, exactly. That's why you
Yeah,
have to pay
essentially,
it.
that's essentially it. Because if I can lock you into what I'm saying, then I can control you with what I
Yep.
say.
Yep. Yep. So pay attention to where you're paying. This is you guys will see on the channel, but I always talk about, this year 2021 and 2020 for me has been about where am I investing? Where am I paying my energy or my attention? And once you become more conscious on that, it's just where am I focusing my mind? Where am I focusing my energy? To then attract, if you said every thought creates an electromagnetic
Yeah,
response,
this is what
you
we
know.
say. A prayer is a thought. No, a thought
Mhm.
is a prayer, and a prayer is a wish. And a wish is a concentrated magnetic frequency that you generate to bring that event for you to experience. Because if you don't see it happen, you don't know it actually happens. So you then create a pair, which creates a magnet. And because we believe in fear more than we believe in hope,
Yeah.
what we fear happens quicker than what we hope for sometimes.
Right.
Because we're hoping, oh, maybe it might happen. And in fear, we're like, oh, yes, it's going to happen. And that's why we open the door with our fear to certain situations coming through. But when you're fearless and you just walk without any concern or any fear, you see that things don't happen to you.
Right. Exactly.
Situations don't take place in front of your presence because you're not generating the frequency that
Mm.
when you're generating the frequency, I mean, the elements within you are designed in such a way they will not allow those situations to manifest in front of you. That's when
Exactly.
you've got a good relationship with yourself. When
Right.
you've got a bad relationship with yourself and you're constantly putting yourself down, you lower your vibration so other energies in the atmosphere and in people can come, trample over your energy and bring in negative events to happen towards you so that you stay in that negative feeling within yourself.
Right.
This was the science that those guys knew, and we go into it in depth
Oh, yeah.
in the classes, really do. So essentially, it's one of these things that you have to be there, because we can't convey all of it, because it's for those that, how do you say, have that curiosity, would have thought
Yeah.
many of these things that themselves, but they just won't believe other people are saying it. They said, I had thought that, but I thought I was crazy. And a lot of people that thought they weren't well in their head went to the class and saw that there's a lot of them,
They were
because all of
not.
us are like that. All of
Yeah.
us are those people that have those thoughts that people just wouldn't have and wouldn't believe are possible, because we're challenging reality all the time. Whatever you
Yeah.
perceive as right and real, we'll give you another version.
Right. Right. Yeah. Wow. Well, Edison,
Mhm.
I greatly appreciate you for taking time to get into, your course and this information. There's so much, but anybody who has questions, just comment them below. But take a moment to check the description, click on
Essence.com. And my
ancestralessence.com.
telephone number is there as well if someone has a major inquiry, but we also
Yes.
have a contact page where you can leave your details and your questions, and we'll come back to you that if you have any sort of queries as into what we're doing, what's involved, all that kind of thing. Again, people that have been on the course, if they were to tell you their experience at the end, because they change, it's one of those things that you start off being one of these curious people about this, and by the end of it, I love watching everyone's energy become subdued, because now
Yeah.
they realize that the thoughts in their head creates the realities outside of them.
Yeah.
And if you're in a sort of angry way, annoyed, depressed, this creates the vibration. So self-love starts with how you think about yourself.
Yeah.
And if you've
Yeah.
got a firm, great grip of yourself and love for everyone around you, you'll receive that life. Everyone will be smiling and happy with you, because that's all you generate. And so, you know how it is. People will come near you and realize, oh, that person's happy. I can be happy around that person. When you're going to a room and everyone is angry, but everyone talks to you. Yeah,
Right.
you're that one light that walks into the room and everyone changes as soon as you walk in, because you carry that spirit.
Right.
That's self-love.
Yes, yes, yes. Ashe.
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 Oh God,
Um,
thank you very much for the opportunity, Jimmy. I've had a great time as always. And
yeah,
yes, we look forward to anyone. Like I say, go to the website ancestralessence.com, scroll down and you'll see the breakdown of every class and what we do. And then if you have a query, contact me via the query page, and the registration pages for you to go and sign up. We do have an early bird offering at the moment, but that's till the 1st. So please get in quick if you want to appreciate that. Otherwise, you're obviously still welcome to come afterwards when you're ready and you can afford it. But we're trying to create as many options as we can so that we can get it out to as many people as we can.
yes, and as someone who's been a student, I 100% recommend it. It's almost like an encyclopedia, a video encyclopedia of just spiritual knowledge that will just take you into a whole new phase. With this full moon in Sagittarius, it's a gateway into the spiritual. So for those of you who've been activated to explore this so much deeper, this is honestly, if you're watching this, spirit has brought it to you on purpose. So just
100%.
take heed. But infinite gratitude, Edison. It's been
Thank you.
amazing. I hope to have you back here once again.
Whenever you're ready, I'm happy to oblige. I'm happy to come down and talk about whatever subject you want outside of this, because
Right.
spirituality or these things is such a huge
Vast.
subject,
Yeah.
and we don't always get a chance to get to the nitty gritty, what's underneath,
Yes,
because we want to get to the source. We don't want to mess about at the script.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But thank you guys for tuning in,
problem.
and yeah, infinite love, gratitude, peace, prosperity, and we will catch you next time.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Jim. Bye.